6th of January, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashevua, Bo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I was just looking up your question. When you asked me about a chodesh hazeh lochem, I don't know where exactly in Chazal actually says that he had difficulty. But one possible answer could be that I'm not sure that's true, Lamaisa, if you need a certain shear, a certain measure of the size of the moon. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu had to actually be visualized, be shown it, and just not explained it. Otherwise, I don't really have a teretz to your question. Okay, let's go. We are up to, in the middle of the locusts. Pasuk Tezayin, I believe. By the Maher Paro.
Vayemeher Paro likro leMoshe ule Aharon Vayomer Chatasi Lashem Elokeichem Lachem. And Paro hastened to call Moshe and Aaron, and he said, I have sinned to Hashem, your God, and to you. Okay, there's no Rashi. Va'ata sa no chatasi ach hapa'am v'ha tiru lashem elokeichem v'yaser me alai rak es hamaves hazeh. So, and now, forgive?
Yes, correct. Literally means carry. It literally means carry. Please carry my sin.
Oh, carry.
Bear my sin. Bear the burden of my sin.
Okay. So forgive, please, my sin. Even time, even once.
Achapam, just this once.
Just this once. And entreat Hashem your God, that he remove from upon me only this death. Okay, no Rashi on that. V'yetzei me'im paro.
By the way, you see from here that way Paro expresses it, that the plague of locusts in a way was more severe than some of the earlier plagues. It's also mistabeh that the plagues got steadily more severe and more, how should I say it? More invasive, let's call it that way, into the lives of the Egyptians.
Wasn't the frogs extremely invasive? They were actually going inside their bodies?
I don't think so mitzad that, but I'm saying that the mamash had, this was it. There was no food. It's absolutely kind of starved for a week.
Right, so they were more devastating.
Devastating, maybe that's better, rather than invasive. They were more devastating, that's the better word. Yeah.
Okay. V'yetze me'im paro vayetar el Hashem. And he went out from with Paro.
Literally means, it means he left Paro's presence.
He left Paro's presence.
He went out from being with Paro.
From being with Paro, and he entreated Hashem. Hey, there's no Rashi on that one. Vaya hafoch Hashem ruach yam chazak ma'od vayisa es ha'arbeh vayis ka'ehu ya Yama Sof Yama Suf Lo Nishar Arbe Echad Bechol Gevul Mitzrayim. We're on verse 19, Meir, chapter 10.
And 19. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Hashem turned back a wind.
Reversed. Hashem reversed. Okay.
Hashem reversed a strong wind from the sea.
No,
Yam
a west wind.
Sea wind?
No, a west wind. That's what Rashi's going to point out over here.
Oh, a west wind, a strong west wind.
As it came from the west.
A very strong west wind. And it carried the locust and hurled it.
Oh, that's interesting. Hurled it. I didn't even think.
I guess it's
plunged
into the Sea of Reeds.
So I translated by Yiskoeu. He plunged them into the Sea of Reeds.
Plunged. Oh, that's a good one. Plunged. And not there did not remain one locust in all the borders of Egypt.
Right.
Okay, now there's a Rashi.
Rashi's going to say, actually, even the ones in the pickle jars.
It's the ones that they salted.
Right.
Ruach,
somebody told me, certain types of locusts can be eaten, are kosher. And
right,
apparently,
four kinds.
What?
4 kinds.
Right. And apparently, I don't know if they still have such a Masorah, such a tradition, but it used to be that the Sephardi Jews from North Africa had a tradition which ones were the kosher locusts. And somebody told me, a person a bit older than me, says he remembers a friend of his in yeshiva who his parents lived in Morocco. He was from Morocco. And they ever so often would send him a jar of pickled locusts. Okay. I don't know whether it was a taco flavor or
Tackle?
or barbecue flavor. I have no idea. But anyway.
Bet you can't eat just one. Okay. Ruach Yam, a wind of the sea. This means Ruach Ma'aravi, a wind from the west.
Yeah, now Rashi's going to go on to the next thing as well, explaining this, that, don't forget, we're talking about Mitzrayim. Okay, so the locusts in Mitzrayim. If it came from the sea, that means, what sea are we referring to? The Mediterranean. Then that would be a north wind, because the sea is north of Egypt. So Rashi's pointing out that no, it was a west wind, meaning the wind came from the west of Egypt, which is not from the sea, in fact. It's from the desert, from the Sahara Desert. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what Rashi's pointing out. It wasn't a sea wind, it was a west wind. Yam can refer to being, what do you call it? Foratzto Yoma v'Kedma v'Tzafeino v'Negba. Right? Yoma means to the west, not to the sea. It happens to be that Eretz Yisrael is, the sea is to the west. Maybe that's why it gets that name, I'm not sure.
It
Why
says
the west is referred
that
to
in
as
my
the sea.
footnote.
Sorry?
It says in my footnote that it's called west because the Mediterranean is west of Israel, and even if you're in a country that's removed from Israel, you still use the Israeli terminology.
Right. Okay. We're going to see actually probably another knetch. Okay. Because we're going to see that Rashi learns, it's very interesting. We had this problem by Ruach Kodim as well. Rashi seems to mean, if it's a Ruach Kodim, which means an east wind, it's east of Eretz Yisrael. And a Ruach Yom also means it's a west wind, but it's west of Eretz Yisrael. We'll see. Let's continue the Rashi further. Okay.
Yamas Suf, to the sea of reeds. Omer ani sheyam suf haya miktsaso b'ma'arav. I say that the Sea of Reeds was partially to the west of Israel. I have an interesting picture in my book which shows that. I don't know if you can see this.
Up a bit. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what are we talking about? A or B?
Both A and B are the Sea of Reeds.
Uh-huh.
Oh, both of them.
That's interesting. This one, Gulf of Suez and Gulf of Eilat. Okay.
Huh. Yeah, that is interesting.
Okay, so where was I? So it says, I say that the Sea of Reeds was partially to the west of Eretz Yisrael. Keneged kol ruach deromis, opposite the entire southern side.
Yeah.
V'gam b'miz racha shel Eretz Yisrael, and also to the east of Eretz Yisrael. That I think that's because of those two branches.
Could be, let's say.
The fichach ruach yam. Therefore, the west wind tikao le'arbe beyama suf. Cast the locusts into the Sea of Reeds, kenegdo, which faced it.
Okay, now, I've got a simple question, which the Vice Mefarshim also trying to understand what Rashi's on about. Why does Rashi have to go to the extent and say that the sea in which the Kodesh Baruch Hu dumped the locusts is to the east of Eretz Yisrael? All we need to know is that's the east of Egypt, east of Mitzrayim. But why does it have to be the east of Eretz Yisrael?
Ah, I see your question.
So let me check over here. in my notes. I'm going to have a look over here. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, on Parsha 19 over here. Yeah, so I have a note over here. I added in a few words. Thus, the west wind plunged the locusts into the Sea of Reeds, opposite the land of Mitzrayim to the east.
Oh,
That's 18.
Okay.
That's 18. Hold it.
Oh,
Let me see what the source of that note is. I have a note over here. Rashi is bothered by the fact that the verse states that God brought a very strong west wind in order to plunge the locusts into the Sea of Reeds. If the Sea of Reeds is only to the west of the land of Israel, between the land of Mitzrayim and the land of Israel, God would not have needed to bring such a strong wind. Rashi therefore explains Sea of Reeds was also to the east of the land of Israel, and this is where God plunged the locusts. But the Eika point is it was to the east of Egypt. But the reason why Rashi is bothered by the fact they had to say that where the locusts were plunged was to the east of Eretz Yisrael is because why did Hashem bring such a strong, what's the pasuk say? Extremely strong west wind. Just a regular west wind would have done the job. The answer is he had to carry them further, considerably further. The wind had to carry them considerably further. Maybe that's why I needed a very strong west wind to dunk them into the Sea of Reeds, which was to the east of Eretz Yisrael. Meaning in your picture, it wasn't in the Gulf of Suez, it was in the Gulf of Aqaba, or whatever you have, Gulf of Eilat.
right. Right.
Remember what it was called the Gulf of Aqaba? 1967.
Yeah, it's now the
Then-
Gulf of Eilat. I wonder when it'll be called the Gulf of Israel. Okay, v'chein metzinu, and similarly we find le inyan tehumim regarding the matter of the borders.
Right.
Shehu poneh letzad mizrach, that it turns toward the east side. Shne'emar, as it says, miyam suf v'ad yam pelishtim, from the Sea of Reeds up until the Sea of the Philistines.
Right. So it's once, that's what Rashi explains, i.e., it was from east to west.
Right.
Mizrach Lamara, from east to west.
So the Sea of the Philistines is the Mediterranean?
Right.
Okay. Mimizrach le Ma'arav, from east to west, like you just said, Shiyam Pelishtim be Ma'arav Haya, for the Sea of the Philistines was to the west. She ne'emar ba pelishtim team, as it says about the Philistines, Yosh, Yoshvei, Chevel, Hayam, Goy, Keresim, the inhabitants of the strip by the sea, the nation of the Keresim, the nation of the Keresim, whatever
Okay,
that is.
these are the Cretians.
The Cretans. The Cretans.
Cretans or Cretians or whatever. Anyway,
Lo nishar arbe echad. Not a single locust remained. Af hamiluchim shemalchu mehem. Here you go. Even the salted ones that the Egyptians had salted for themselves.
yeah.
Even the salted ones blew away. That's cruel.
By the way, the Chazal say that in each of the plagues, Pharaoh could find an excuse to complain. So this was the idea behind it. That okay, Hakadosh Baruch Hu brought us a plague. At least at the end of the day, when the plague goes away, at least there's have some dividend from it.
Yeah.
You've beaten us for a week. Let's at least get something out of it.
At least have some salted locusts here.
Right. Nothing. Garnish geblieben. Okay. Let's go on. Meir, Pasuk 20. Pasuk Chaf.
Okay, Kaf. It says, let's see. Vayichazek Hashem et lev paro v'lo shilach et bnei Yisrael. So Hashem is that made strong the heart of Pharaoh? And he did not send.
He did not release the children.
Release the children of Israel. Okay, no 20. Okay, so 21, Kaf Aleph. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Nitei Yadcha.
By the way, you notice over here, no warning.
Oh, yeah.
There's no warning to Pharaoh for this. But basically, you see through all the Makkahs, they came in threes, meaning dam, blood and frogs was a warning. Kinim, no warning. Orav Deva had a warning. Shchin, no warning. Borod Arba had a warning. Choshech, no warning.
No warning.
Because it doesn't mention it anyway.
Right. Huh. Okay. So let's see. So Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Netei Yadcha al Hashemayim, Vihi Choshech al Eretz Mitzrayim, V'yamesh Choshech. Okay, so Hashem said to Moshe, stretch your hand. Okay.
From the heavens.
From the heavens. And there will be darkness on the land of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. I'm not sure what's Vayamesh.
Now, Rashi himself has a major problem, a major question what it means, and we'll see Rashi's going to speak about this at length.
Okay. Well, something about the darkness.
Right.
Okay. So let's see.
Let's see the Rashi here.
Okay, Vayamesh Choshech. Oh, he translates it. The darkness will become darker, it says. Okay.
It's pretty good.
Okay, the Yakshik. Oh, he made it. Choshech. He made it darker, I guess.
No, it's actually, it doesn't say Vayomesh Choshech. Vayomesh Choshech. Okay, it means it shall. The darkness shall yomesh.
Shall become,
So that's what Rashi says. That's what it is. V'yachshech alem choshech yoyse micheshkoi
oh,
shel.
Yoser. Oh, he made it more dark, I guess.
Right, no, it's the darkness should become even darker
Uh-huh.
in the darkness of night.
Oh.
That's
Mehachsho
why I
shel
translated
laila,
it as the darkness
of night. Uh-huh.
of the night, that the darkness become intense.
Okay. And then it says, V'choshek shel laila ya'amish v'yachshich od. So the
In the darkness
darkness,
of night should become
ya'amish.
intense and more and darker than it was. Question is, what does that mean? So it's interesting. Is darkness an entity in itself, or is it just the absence of light?
Oh.
And I want you to bring me a raya from davening.
From what?
Raya.
A raya from what?
Davening.
Davening.
From davening?
Yeah.
He creates darkness and brings on light.
Well, the other way it says there. Yotze or, you got the right thing, but something first got it right. Yotze or uvere choshech.
When he
Beginning
creates.
of the first thing after Baruch Hu. Say Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam yotze or uvere choshech. It says shalom uvere sakol. Okay, so you see, Akash was boirei choshech. Now, if choshech is a non-entity, it's just the absence of light, then there's no creation of darkness. So obviously,
Also rolling away light before darkness and darkness before light.
right, that's also we have. Yeah, but there it says clearly, Akash created darkness. It was a process, he created an entity called darkness. Anyway, so here we're saying that the darkness should become more intense. Okay, now Rashi is going to go into the etymology of the word v'yomesh, what it's the actual, what's sensitive.
Oh. Okay, v'yamesh. And that is translated will become darker. Okay. Kemo v'ya'amesh.
V'ya'amesh,
V'ya'amesh.
which means Rashi is saying the root of the word v'yomesh is aleph mem shin.
Oh.
Comes from the root aleph mem shin. But
Uh-huh.
when you say v'yomesh, instead of saying v'ya'amesh, you say v'yomesh, because the aleph, which is a insignificant, is maybe not the right word, but it's a aleph is a letter which is hardly pronounced at the best of times. So sometimes when it's a difficult pronunciation, the Hebrew, you will leave out the aleph. That's what Rashi is going on to explain now.
Yeah, that's what he says. It says Yesh lanu tevot harbe chaserot aleph. That there are many words that are missing the aleph. Oh, lefisha ein chavarat aleph nikeret kol kach. What's chavarat?
Havara means the sound.
Oh, so the sound.
Pronunciation, that's the best way.
So there really isn't a sound of the aleph.
Nikeres kol kach means because at the best of times,
Oh, that's
when the aleph is
recognizable.
pronounced, it's only
That's
pronounced in a very, it's not such a strong, strongly enunciated letter.
Leather.
The letter is not very strongly enunciated anyway. So therefore, eina kosuv makpid al chesreina.
It's not recognized all the time.
Whatever, it not doesn't think the Torah doesn't mind, shall we say, if it's dropped on certain occasions.
Oh, that's is that the next ein hakatuv makpid al chesrona.
That's what it means. The Torah is not
Oh, okay.
particular about its sometimes dropping this aleph letter.
Okay, then Kigon, he gives an example. Below Yahel Sham Aravi. Okay, so
Means no Arab will. So it says Yahel, which means, Rashi says, means Kamo lo Yahel, which means he won't set up tent.
oh, we won't set up a tent there. Oh, okay. Well, yateh a halel. Okay. V'chein, and so Tazraini Chayil. Okay.
This is in the Shir of David. It's one of the things is Vatazreini, Kosh Baruch Hu, you Vatazreini Chayil Lamilchama. Right?
Oh, it's the same
Means
thing.
is like Kamoy Vatazreini. Means the word Vatazreini is the same as Vatazreini. Because the Aleph is really the root letter. Aleph Zayin Reish. La'azor means to gird. So Vatazreini, you think. So instead of saying Vatazreini, the person says Vatazreini. The Aleph is left out.
Uh-huh. Okay. The uncle is here game is shown Hasara.
Sorry. Now he has a different meaning.
Oh. So he has a different meaning. Okay.
Meaning that the Bible translates Yomesh
So
as
Kimo lo yamish. Yamish is to move something?
yeah, lo Yomish.
Okay.
So he translates, and the Targum translates, Yomesh Choshech, means that Choshech should be removed.
Okay.
Means when the should we say the beginning of the night has been removed, then the shall we say when the night has been removed, darkness of the night has been removed, that's when this choshech will come in, will kick in, shall we say. This is when it will begin.
Okay.
That's what goes on to explain.
Or hayom.
And when it comes near to day, it's the darkest part of the night, then that's when choshech will begin.
Uh-huh. Okay.
However, Rashi doesn't like that. Rashi says, "Aval ein
ein hadibor miyushav al havav shel v'yamesh." So let's see, but the word is not does not miyushav has sat no has sat.
It doesn't fit. Miyoshav means in this case content. It doesn't fit in well.
It doesn't fit in well.
Alavod shel v'yomesh.
Okay, with the vav and yamesh.
So this explanation doesn't fit in well with the vav v'yomesh. Why?
Okay, so he goes on. Lefi shehu katuv achar v'hi choshech.
What he means is as follows. He's saying that if it means, according to the Targum, what does the pasuk mean? That should be choshech afei al eretz Mitzrayim, that there should be choshech upon the land of Mitzrayim, v'yomesh choshech, when choshech, the regular choshech, is being removed at the end of the night. So Rashi says you don't normally use the vav in such a sense. It should say first v'yomesh choshech, and then v'hi choshech al eretz Mitzrayim. If you want to express it to say v'hi choshech al Mitzrayim kisheyomesh choshech, or something like that. But when you use the vav in such a sense, it doesn't. The vav is not normally used in such a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see a little more.
Rashi has a third shot now.
Umidrash agada potro. Okay, so there's a Aggadic explanation. Let's see. Lishon mimashesh b'tzaharayim Shaya kaful umekupal
V'av,
va'av ad shahayavo mamash.
so he's saying, according to this third explanation, it means Yomesh Choshech, that darkness should become tangible, mamash. Okay, the darkness should become so strong, right, that it could be even tangible.
Mhm.
It's interesting. The Ibn Ezra writes on this pasuk. He says that there's a place in the ocean, right, where they have this kind of thick darkness, and it lasts for a number of days. And I've been there many times. And they say he's referring to London fog.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting how nowadays there is such a thing. You get fogs in London, but not nearly as intense as they used to be. But that's because of two factors. One is that the cool temperature of the Thames River is less cool than it used to be. So it doesn't cause such an intense cold front over the city of London, number one. And number two, they've also cleaned up the city. There's less smoke and stuff. So therefore, when it does get fog, it doesn't become so thick because there's no smog. There's much less smog in the air. Anyway, that's just a little aside. Okay, but anyway, so the Ibn Ezra compares this choshech to London fog.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
Fine.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, we'll stop here. I wish everybody a lightful Shabbos.
Okay. Very good. Have a good Shabbos, Rabbi.
Shabbos. Be well.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Okay.